One wrong decision, one moment of overconfidence. That's all it takes to separate six brilliant individuals from becoming tragic deaths in the world's most dangerous locations. They're stark reminders that expertise, preparation, and years of experience mean nothing when nature decides to claim its price. It was May 23, 2019, when Dr. Olivia Trent's relentless pursuit of perfection led her into the most unforgiving place on Earth, Mount Everest's death zone. The 34-year-old emergency room physician from Denver had spent 3 grueling years preparing for this moment. After her bitter divorce, Olivia threw herself into planning the ultimate challenge, working brutal 16-hour hospital shifts to fund the $65,000 expedition. Her weekends were consumed by training in Colorado's Rocky Mountains, her competitive nature driving her harder than anyone else. Olivia's colleagues at Denver General knew her as the doctor who never backed down from impossible cases. She'd saved countless lives through sheer determination and medical expertise. But this same stubborn confidence would prove deadly on the world's tallest mountain. But Olivia's medical expertise became her fatal weakness. When expedition teammates noticed her persistent coughing and confusion at base camp, she dismissed their concerns with professional arrogance. She believed her years treating patients made her immune to the mountain's warnings. The perfectionist who saved lives in Denver's trauma rooms couldn't accept that her own body was failing. The warning signs had been building for days. Her appetite vanished at 17,000 feet. Sleep became impossible as headaches intensified. Yet Olivia pushed forward, convinced her medical training gave her advantages over other climbers. May 23rd brought a narrow weather window that created chaos on the mountain. Multiple teams rushed toward the summit simultaneously, creating a deadly traffic jam in the death zone above 26,000 feet. At this altitude, where oxygen levels dropped to 1/3 of sea level, Olivia's brain began its catastrophic rebellion. High-altitude cerebral edema struck with merciless efficiency. Her coordination crumbled as she waited in the 2-hour bottleneck of climbers. Violent headaches hammered her skull as brain tissue swelled against bone. The narrow ridge became a nightmare of stumbling and disorientation. Then her judgment collapsed entirely. Despite temperatures plummeting to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, oxygen-starved Olivia convinced herself she was overheating. She ripped off her supplemental oxygen mask, a death sentence at 28,700 feet. The mountain claimed her within minutes. Her lips turned blue as cyanosis set in. Her speech became incomprehensible gibberish. Hallucinations took hold as she spoke to people who existed only in her dying brain. Other climbers stepped around her convulsing body, focused on their own summit dreams as Olivia collapsed face first into the snow. Her climbing partner fought desperately to save her, performing CPR for 20 agonizing minutes in the thin air. But the death zone had already won. He was forced to abandon her frozen corpse to save his own life. Olivia's body remained entombed on Everest for 6 months, until recovery teams could safely retrieve her remains. Her death sparked new mandatory health regulations for climbers, while her family pursued a $2.3 million lawsuit against the expedition company. The doctor who dedicated her life to saving others had become another victim of humanity's deadliest obsession, conquering the world's highest peak. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that even medical expertise cannot overcome nature's ultimate test. The mountain that claimed her life now bears witness to the tragic cost of human ambition. Today, her name joins the grim roster of Everest's victims, forever frozen in time at 28,700 feet above sea level. Her legacy lives on through stricter safety protocols that may prevent future tragedies. The woman who once saved lives in Denver's emergency rooms became another cautionary tale etched in ice and snow, a stark reminder of mortality's final verdict. It was July 15, 2017, when the Sahara Desert claimed the life of Megan Holliser in one of the most preventable yet horrific deaths ever recorded in Morocco's unforgiving wilderness. Megan was a 28-year-old travel blogger from Portland, Oregon, whose adventurous spirit and relentless pursuit of viral content had earned her 5,000 YouTube subscribers. Known for her impulsive personality and boundary-pushing expeditions, she specialized in documenting extreme destinations that most travelers would never dare attempt. Her motto was simple: the more dangerous the location, the more views she would generate. Working as a freelance content creator, she had quit her marketing job 2 years earlier to pursue full-time adventure blogging. For her latest project, Megan had hired a local guide for what was supposed to be a carefully planned 3-day desert trek. However, her reckless ambition led her to secretly plan a solo 24-hour survival challenge without informing anyone. Despite having never experienced temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, she packed only 2 liters of water instead of the recommended 6 liters per day needed for summer desert conditions. On the morning of July 15th, Megan deceived her guide by claiming illness and requesting to rest at camp. At 10 a.m., with temperatures already climbing toward a deadly 128 degrees Fahrenheit, she secretly departed with minimal supplies and her camera, determined to capture content that would break the internet. By noon, the desert began its merciless assault on her unprepared body. Losing 2 liters of water per hour through sweat, her inadequate supply was quickly depleted. Within 4 hours, severe dehydration ravaged her system. Her tongue swelled grotesquely, her saliva became thick and sticky, and her skin lost all elasticity, tenting ominously when pinched. Heat exhaustion rapidly progressed to life-threatening heat stroke, as her core body temperature soared to 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Her body's cooling system completely failed, causing her to stop sweating entirely while her skin became dangerously hot and dry. The superheated air she breathed began cooking her lungs from the inside. As her brain overheated, disorientation and vivid hallucinations consumed her rational thought. She began talking to her camera about seeing an oasis that existed only in her dying mind, stumbling desperately toward empty dunes that promised salvation, but delivered only death. Her final video entries became increasingly incoherent as delirium set in. At 4 p.m., Megan collapsed onto the scorching sand, her body convulsing uncontrollably as her organs systematically shut down. Her final moments were captured on camera as she reached desperately toward the lens, her hand trembling before falling motionless. Her guide discovered her body 18 hours later, following her footprints and the signal from her emergency beacon that activated automatically when she stopped moving. The camera footage revealed the horrific progression of her death, becoming crucial evidence in wilderness medicine case studies. Her family donated $75,000 to desert rescue organizations and successfully lobbied for mandatory safety briefings for tourists in extreme environments. The Moroccan government implemented new regulations requiring guides to confiscate tourists' passports during desert expeditions, preventing unauthorized solo ventures. Megan's YouTube channel was converted into an educational platform about travel safety, ensuring her death would serve as a warning to future adventurers about the deadly consequences of underestimating nature's power and prioritizing content over survival instincts. It was August 3rd, 2018, when the unforgiving forces of nature claimed the life of a brilliant young scientist who pushed the boundaries of volcanic research too far. Bailey Corbin was a 31-year-old volcanologist from UC Berkeley, known among her colleagues for her razor-sharp analytical mind and obsessive attention to detail. Standing 5 feet 6 inches with auburn hair, often pulled back in a practical ponytail, Bailey had dedicated the last 2 years of her life to studying the volatile Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. Her doctoral dissertation on lava tube formations had become her consuming passion, but also her greatest weakness. She preferred working alone, believing her methodical approach was compromised by others' caution. Bailey's personality was a dangerous combination of brilliance and stubbornness. She had grown overconfident in her ability to predict volcanic behavior, often venturing closer to active flows than safety protocols recommended. Her supervisor frequently warned her about taking unnecessary risks, But Bailey's academic pressure was mounting. Her research grant was set to expire in just 3 months, and she desperately needed critical data to secure her PhD and future career in volcanology. On that fateful August morning, new fissures had opened unexpectedly around Kilauea, creating unstable ground conditions. The USGS issued strict warnings against approaching the area, but Bailey saw this as a unique research opportunity that could make her dissertation groundbreaking. She deliberately misled her supervisor, claiming she would take air quality measurements from a safe distance while secretly planning to collect lava samples from within 50 feet of active flows. At 2:30 p.m., Bailey approached an active lava flow with her specialized collection equipment. The ground appeared solid, but beneath her feet lay a thin crust over molten rock. Without warning, the surface collapsed, plunging her legs directly into 2,000-degree Fahrenheit lava. The superheated molten rock instantly vaporized the moisture in her body tissues, causing explosive steam burns that destroyed muscle and bone in her lower extremities. Her screams echoed across the volcanic landscape as the lava burned through her protective suit and boots in mere seconds. The intense heat caused her synthetic clothing to melt and fuse with her skin, creating agonizing third-degree burns. Toxic volcanic gases, sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide, filled her lungs as she struggled desperately to escape. The chemical burns to her respiratory system caused rapid unconsciousness. Within 3 minutes, third-degree burns covered 60% of her body. As she fell forward into the lava flow, her body was consumed by molten rock at temperatures hot enough to melt copper. Emergency responders couldn't reach the site for 48 hours until the lava flow cooled and solidified. They found only her research equipment and camera, melted beyond recognition. The USGS used Bailey's tragic death to implement stricter safety protocols, requiring all researchers to work in pairs with constant radio contact when studying active volcanic sites. Her university established the Bailey Corbin Safety Fund, providing $200,000 annually for protective equipment and emergency response training for geology students. Ironically, her research notes recovered from her vehicle contributed to 3 published papers on lava tube formation that significantly advanced the field of volcanology. Bailey's parents filed a $1.8 million lawsuit against the university, claiming inadequate supervision and safety training led to their daughter's preventable death. The brilliant young scientist who sought to unlock the secrets of Earth's most powerful forces ultimately became a victim of the very phenomena she studied. Her promising career cut short by a moment of fatal overconfidence in nature's unpredictable fury. It was February 12, 2016, when the unforgiving waters of Lake Baikal claimed marine biologist Samantha Greer beneath its frozen surface. Samantha, a determined 29-year-old researcher from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, had built her reputation on fearless underwater exploration. Her colleagues knew her as someone who pushed boundaries, driven by an insatiable curiosity about marine life that often overshadowed caution. With 8 years of diving experience under her belt, she had conquered challenging waters across the globe, but never in temperatures as extreme as Siberia's legendary lake. The ambitious scientist had traveled to Russia's frozen wilderness to study endemic species lurking in Baikal's mysterious depths. Her goal was audacious, a record-breaking 200-foot dive beneath the ice to collect specimens from unexplored regions, where new species might await discovery. The air temperature had plummeted to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, creating conditions that would test even the most experienced divers. During her pre-dive inspection, Samantha discovered a small tear near her dry suit's wrist seal. Local Russian guides, weathered men who understood the lake's deadly moods, urged her to postpone the dive. They warned that deteriorating weather conditions were bringing 40-mile-per-hour winds that could shift the ice and seal her exit hole. But Samantha's determination overruled their concerns. She applied duct tape to the damaged seal, convinced her makeshift repair would hold. At 150 feet beneath the surface, disaster struck. The temporary patch failed catastrophically, allowing 33-degree water to flood her protective suit. The shock was immediate and devastating. Her core body temperature began dropping rapidly as the frigid lake water made contact with her skin. Hypothermia attacked her body with ruthless efficiency. Within minutes, her fine motor skills deteriorated, making it impossible to operate critical equipment. Her breathing became rapid and shallow, as her cardiovascular system diverted blood from her extremities to protect vital organs. Severe cramping seized her hands, preventing her from inflating her buoyancy vest to ascend. As hypothermia clouded her judgment, Samantha lost track of the guide rope that would lead her to safety. Disoriented and confused, she swam deeper instead of toward the surface, her compromised mind unable to process the life-threatening situation unfolding around her. At 180 feet, her body succumbed to severe hypothermic shock. Her heart rate plummeted to 30 beats per minute as consciousness slipped away. The regulator fell from her mouth, and the icy waters of Lake Baikal claimed another victim. 3 hours later, Russian rescue divers located her body using sonar equipment. They found her wedged between underwater rock formations, 200 feet from the dive hole that had been her intended path to safety. The autopsy revealed the dual cause of her death: drowning combined with severe hypothermia that had dropped her core temperature to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Ironically, the waterproof container she carried preserved her research data, which later contributed to the discovery of 3 new crustacean species in Baikal's depths. Samantha's tragic death sparked significant safety reforms. Woods Hole implemented mandatory cold water diving certification and buddy system requirements for all researchers working in subarctic conditions. The Russian government established new regulations requiring local emergency response teams to be present during all extreme diving operations conducted by foreign researchers. Her legacy lives on through the species she helped discover and the safety measures that now protect other scientists who dare to explore the world's most challenging underwater environments. It was September 7, 2015, when Lauren Whitaker's relentless pursuit of scientific perfection led her into the path of nature's most violent force. Lauren, a 26-year-old meteorology graduate student from Penn State, possessed an analytical mind that bordered on obsessive. Her colleagues knew her as the type who would spend 18 hours straight analyzing weather data, fueled by nothing but coffee and determination. Growing up in rural Pennsylvania, she had witnessed her family's farm destroyed by an unexpected tornado at age 12, sparking her lifelong mission to understand and predict extreme weather. For 6 months, she had been stationed on Mount Washington, New Hampshire, studying the mountain's notorious weather patterns for her thesis on extreme atmospheric conditions. The mountain's unpredictable climate had become Lauren's specialty. She could read pressure drops and wind shifts like others read books. This expertise, however, bred a dangerous overconfidence. Her advisor had warned her about the mountain's reputation for claiming lives, but Lauren's stubborn determination often overruled caution. When severe thunderstorm warnings echoed across the observatory radio that afternoon, Lauren calculated she had enough time to complete her equipment readings before the system arrived. Weather data streaming across her monitors showed lightning activity building rapidly to the south. The perfectionist in her refused to abandon 6 months of meticulous research for what she believed was an overly cautious evacuation order. At 3 p.m., as the first lightning strikes began illuminating the mountain's exposed granite peaks, Lauren remained alone at the summit weather station, her hands dancing across instruments that would soon become her executioner. The storm system moved faster than any forecast model predicted. By 3:47 p.m., towering cumulonimbus clouds had engulfed the summit in an electrical maelstrom. Lauren was recording wind velocity measurements when a massive lightning bolt, carrying 30,000 amperes of electrical current, found its target. The strike hit the metal weather station with the force of a small explosion. Lauren's body became the path of least resistance as electricity coursed from her left hand through her torso and exited through her right foot. The current instantly stopped her heart while superheating the metal instruments she gripped to over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Her nervous system, overwhelmed by the electrical assault, triggered violent muscle contractions that launched her 15 feet from the station. She crashed against granite rocks with bone-crushing force, fracturing her skull as her body convulsed uncontrollably for 30 agonizing seconds. Third-degree burns marked the lightning's path across her palms and fingers, while internal bleeding began flooding her chest cavity. The storm passed as quickly as it arrived. Mount Washington Observatory staff discovered Lauren's motionless form 45 minutes later, her weather instruments having recorded the exact moment of the fatal strike. Emergency responders worked frantically for 40 minutes, attempting to restart her heart, but the massive electrical damage to her cardiac system proved irreversible. Ironically, Lauren's research data survived the strike on backup drives. Her final measurements contributed to improved lightning prediction models that have since saved dozens of lives on the mountain. Mount Washington implemented mandatory evacuation protocols, requiring all researchers to descend below tree line when lightning activity appears within 10 miles. Lauren Whitaker's dedication to science cost her everything, but her sacrifice created safety measures that protect future researchers from the mountain's deadly electrical fury. Her legacy lives on in every life saved by better storm predictions. It was January 19, 2018, when the mountains of Chamonix claimed one of their most experienced guides. Peyton Carlisle, a 33-year-old ski instructor from Aspen, had spent 12 years navigating treacherous alpine terrain with the confidence of someone who believed the mountains were her domain. Peyton possessed an infectious enthusiasm that drew clients to her backcountry tours. Her competitive spirit, forged through years of racing in college, had evolved into a relentless pursuit of the perfect powder run. She was known for her bold route choices and ability to find untouched snow where others saw only danger. This reputation made her one of Chamonix's most sought-after guides, but it also fostered a dangerous overconfidence that would prove fatal. Her colleagues often warned her about pushing boundaries, but Peyton dismissed their concerns as jealousy from less skilled guides. That morning, avalanche forecasters had issued a level 4 warning, indicating high danger across the region. 18 inches of fresh snow had fallen in 24 hours, creating textbook avalanche conditions. Most experienced guides canceled their tours, but Peyton saw an opportunity to showcase her expertise. She convinced herself that her local knowledge trumped the warnings, dismissing the risks that would have deterred less experienced mountaineers. Her clients trusted her judgment completely, unaware of the deadly gamble she was taking with their lives. Leading 6 advanced skiers onto a 38-degree slope, Peyton made the fatal decision to cut across the unstable snowpack. At 11:23 a.m., her skis triggered a catastrophic slab avalanche. The fracture line extended 200 feet wide and 4 feet deep, releasing 50,000 tons of snow that accelerated to 80 miles per hour within seconds. The thunderous roar echoed through the valley as nature unleashed its fury. The avalanche consumed Peyton immediately, tumbling her violently down 1,200 feet of mountainside. Her body collided repeatedly with rocks and trees during the 45-second descent, shattering both legs and her left arm while causing severe internal trauma. When the debris finally settled, she lay buried 8 feet beneath snow that compressed like concrete around her broken form. Miraculously, a small air pocket formed around her head, allowing her to remain conscious for approximately 15 minutes. But as carbon dioxide accumulated in the confined space, and the snow continued compacting, breathing became increasingly difficult. The mountain that had been her playground became her tomb, as she slowly suffocated in the frozen darkness, her final thoughts likely filled with regret for the reckless decision that cost everything. Her avalanche beacon continued transmitting weakly beneath the massive debris field. Her clients, positioned safely above the avalanche zone, immediately activated their emergency beacons and began desperate rescue attempts. Despite their training and determination, Peyton's burial depth made detection impossible with their equipment. Professional rescue teams arrived with probe lines and avalanche dogs, but 3 hours passed before they located her body. CPR attempts proved futile against the mountain's merciless grip. The rescue operation became a recovery mission. The tragedy sparked significant changes in French alpine safety protocols. Authorities mandated annual avalanche recertification for all backcountry guides and installed real-time monitoring equipment on the fatal slope. Peyton Carlisle's death serves as a stark reminder that mountain experience means nothing without respect for nature's power. Her legacy lives on through the lives saved by improved safety protocols and education programs born from tragedy. If these harrowing stories of nature's deadly power left you speechless, click the video on your screen for more chilling accounts of adventurers who underestimated the world's most lethal environments and paid with their lives.